Okay, so I think now is as good a time as any to talk about the dog whistles section. So, I have, I'll be honest, I was not like really looking to like start Googling dog whistles and get on some kind of watch list. So I just went for ones I could find easily documented on Twitter. I'm pretty sure I'm already on a watch list. So shout out to my CIA agent. Sup, homie.
Shout out to you, Agent Johnson, you dick.
First of all, a lot of the language that's used is specifically similar to language that's used on QAnon kind of forums in just the general fuck your feelings kind of atmosphere and attitude, and the like very kind of straight Fight Club presenting kind of attitude, the super straight, the kind of toxic attitude there that exists in that movement is kind of covered as part of that as well. Now, if we're getting specific here, the random hashtags mid-sentence and very random capitalization is often something that's used to encrypt like weird fucking Q messages, as well as just general, I would say like generic brand alt-right messages in public forums. So that's probably some of that. But also there's some other like slightly more disturbing shit. Like if you go on the MyPillow website and try to buy on MyPillow, and use the code CYN, you get 88% off of your order. And 88 is a very well-known Nazi dog whistle.
It's like, of all the fucking numbers you could have.
And when they were asked about that, they were like very coy about it. They were like, oh, does that stand for something? I don't know. Which are very similar
Heil Hitler, own the libs, man.
So EC3 did an AMA on Reddit yesterday, which would have been March 24th. Yeah. And he said that he doesn't like neo-Nazis. But then proceeded to say that he was not gonna he's like, I'm not aware of any dog whistles. And then they were like, 88 is a dog whistle. And he was like, I'm not going to change stuff that already exists.
It's already done.
It is.
So it is like very heavily suspected that he is playing dumb, basically. And like there's a lot of documentation of him like saying things that are not the same thing as like what is actually happening. So I also have a little sum up section about why are people falling for this? So first of all, the short answer is a lot of the people who are investing a lot of money. And when Ring of Honor shut down, it created this weird power vacuum for indies, especially Ring of Honor wrestlers. There are a couple of wrestlers on this program who have not advertised being on CYN programs anywhere on their personal socials, but CYN does fly them places, pay them, and like put them up. So they have been wrestling on the card, even though it seems like they don't endorse their material at all. But since ROH laid off their entire roster, there's a power vacuum that exists
Folks feel like
now.
they got to do what they got to do.
There's a power vacuum, and guys need a place to work.
Yes,
yeah,
natural that something like this.
So I do think some of it is related to that. I think if Ring of Honor had never gone under, there's no way that this would have gotten the legs under it that it got. Additionally, white male fragility is at an all-time high, homies. Like it was pretty well exemplified at the January 6th that anything that is kind of considered countercultural in a way that vibes with like things aren't like they used to be, slash I want cryptocurrency, slash I need protein powder or I'm literally gonna die, kind of vibe together. And this is kind of the ultimate male power fantasy in that way. So I think that's definitely getting it a lot of marketing as well, and like a big push in that direction. I also think a lot of people are just, they remember when people like would just die in wrestling rings, and for some reason they fucking miss that. The big thing that they're capitalizing on here, honestly, outside of the like dog whistle shit, is, hey, remember when wrestling felt dangerous? And in this case, for them, dangerous means still doing pretty choreographed wrestling moves, but kicking a 5-year-old kid in the head.
It's like, remember when guys wrestled with concussions?
And the final point on my little bullet list here.
Those days of wrestling with a concussion. Wait, what is this copy I'm reading?
And then my final point is people fundamentally misunderstand Fight Club. And
100%.
Everybody.
it's always really funny to watch people realize or have it explained to them that Fight Club is meant to be a deconstruction of the toxicity in that culture and not an endorsement of it. It's really more of a okay, so this is one area where I'm gonna get like vaguely editorial for a minute, so I do apologize about that. Because I know I'm a young professional, but
this whole show is overtly editorial.
I've been trying to present the news.
And you've been doing wonderful.
But
I said my name was Blackballed Mahoney. You know,
Kat Chinetti, Kat, it's time for you to control your narrative.
All right, so it's time for me, I guess, to talk about the fact that I wrote a thesis about Jane Austen, because that's my narrative, fuckers. But I promise that this is actually related to this. So Jane Austen was fundamentally misunderstood by white male scholars because she is actually writing a send-up or a high-level, like, really a satire of the novels of the time. So really, by very almost over-earnestly over-committing to the tropes of the time, she's doing a send-up of those tropes, right? So Pride and Prejudice isn't as earnest as people think it is. It is poking fun at the absurdity of the other like romance novels like that at the time. There's a lot of documentation around this. If you don't believe me, like that's fine. I'll send you my 45-page thesis. But if you're not willing to work with me on this, you're not going to read that and just, save yourself and myself the time. Anyway, so Fight Club is really similar in that way. By so overly leading into those tropes, it's doing a send-up of those tropes, right?
yes.
Yeah, 100%.
But the reason that it's often forgotten that Jane Austen was doing a send-up is because the educational literature field was controlled by men. And men weren't reading romance novels at the time, and then they were going back and trying to extrapolate what was going on in Jane Austen, and they couldn't because they didn't have the contextual framework in which to work.
Tell him,
okay?
Kat.
So
Sure.
similar things are happening with Fight Club because Fight Club was written by an out gay guy about toxic masculinity culture as someone who is experiencing it from like an insider but not an insider perspective. And I think if you don't know that, and also like you grow up in this toxic masculinity culture, because like at this point, toxic masculinity is basically a generational trauma problem, whatever. There's also a lot to be said there, but toxic masculinity is a generational trauma problem. This is the culmination of that generational trauma, also mixed with what, if you don't know, feels like a really earnest hug of, yes, toxicity is great, isn't it? That puts this like pressure cooker situation together, and that's how you get something like this. On top of like half of the country thinking that Donald Trump is like a hero when he's at best a huckster, like creates this weird like echo chamber in an echo chamber in an echo chamber in an echo chamber. And when you micro niche an echo chamber in an echo chamber in an echo chamber in an echo chamber, that's how you get control your narrative. And I don't fault the people who are choosing to work with them because they need money, but I am faulting the people who are choosing to work with them and actively promote them because their ideology is dangerous. And like wrestling is something that's fundamentally like, and again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, wrestling is action figure drag. It's inherently appealing to children. If this is going to be how you're going to introduce children to something like this, you are automatically indoctrinating them into a cult. And I'm not comfortable with that. I don't think anybody should be comfortable with that. And I also think that like by encouraging an MLM like this, not only are we capitalizing on that, we are capitalizing on people who want to be like that. Like there's a reason I think that Kenny Omega doesn't come out on AEW and talk about the supplement brand he helps run. The product and the product and in this case the product are separate.
Right.
Right.
And that's done on purpose. This has conflict of interest written all over it, but people don't care because it fits their exact box of what they need or what they think they need. And what's going to happen is that someone's going to get hurt, someone's going to die, or both. And that's
in ring and as a result of what's going on.
Yeah.
And like I think that this kid getting kicked, and I hate to keep harping on it, but they've only done very limited
It should
in-person
be harping
events.
on.
But also like they've done 2 in-person events, and one of them resulted in a kid getting hospitalized. But also, part of the reason that I have an issue with the seating thing is don't advertise that there's seating if there's not seating, because people will then bring their kids thinking they will be safe, and they're not safe. So this is also an issue of ableism. This is an issue of not caring for children. This is an issue of not being careful. And because they're all white men, they're going to get away with it. And I'm over it and I'm tired. And like, I just got here. I'm aware that I'm very late to this wrestling party, but I just arrived. All right. And I don't need y'all ruining it.
Yeah. And that's why
That's the bottom line, for real.
That's the only reason that I'm really watching this, like, and not watching the proper, watching what happens with this. Like, that is the whole point that I'm like giving this any attention, because they need to be stopped.
Yeah.
And they're like, first of all, the talent that they have is terrible. Like,
yes,
you know what I mean? Like, Adam Shearer was just like he's Frankenstein's monster. He's a dude that was just given some stuff to do, and because he's just like a great big body, and they didn't like really let him talk or do anything. He didn't like have any, again, blah blah blah, blah whatever. Like, also, it's just people talking out of their ass, and that's always dangerous. Like, nobody's saying anything of any importance whatsoever. Only that it's only important in its inherent danger. You know what I mean? So like, that's the reason to look out for it.
I didn't even get into the problematic aspects of platforming known abusers.
Oh, no.
But that's a whole other like issue that I feel like honestly could merit its own podcast.
And
I think it's something that we've
diagram is
talked
a
about.
circle.
It's something we've talked about, and we should do this again sometime a lot.
Yeah.
About, the idea of enjoying art by people who are bad.
We're a monster.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're
That's
And
a
in this
Venn
case-
diagram that's just one big circle.
Yeah, they're choosing to actively replatform people who, like, if they choose to replatform Joey Ryan, he has been accused by over 30 people of different genders of sexual harassment or assault.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like, listen,
And you want to give him Harbor.
I think it's a little weird that we all still are like standing Darby Allin, considering some of the stuff that's come out, and like Sammy Guevara had to go do sensitivity training and he hasn't. But whatever. But like 30 people.
Yeah.
Like at one time he has editor credit on his own Wikipedia page, so this isn't there anymore. But at one point on Wikipedia, there was a list of every single person with reference links, and it was like 37 people.
Christ.
Man.
Including some of the production staff on the season of RuPaul's Drag Race he was on.
Wow.
He was on RuPaul's Drag Race season 4, which I believe was 2007 or 2008. So this is not news. And they're choosing to actively replatform him, possibly. But like, just generally, Austin Aries, same thing. I think he's got 26.
Fucking gross.
Yep, took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say gross.
And he's not even like, these are, again, we're talking about guys, they're not good.
No.
They're not even good. They're not worth the trouble. Like, nobody's worth the trouble that they bring with them, but like, they're not like, it's not like they're like, oh, these guys are just phenomenal generational talents that just like, all right, well,
Happen to be.
Right. It's like these are not hills to die on. These aren't money-making guys. You know what I mean? Like, Hogan made a bunch of money. You know what I mean? And he was a piece of shit for a long, long time, but he made money. Like, nobody's paying to see Austin Aries, bro. Like, nobody is like,
except that some people are, because they're like, well, women are sex objects that exist in a space, and that's all they are. So they can't be upset if people don't listen to them.
Fuck
like
that.
that's what this is boiling down to, right? Is they say they respect women, but they show a blatant disregard for women. They say that they respect people of color. They're showing a blatant disregard for people of color. They're saying that they respect queer folks. They're showing a blatant disregard for queer folks. They say they respect folks who are disabled. They are actively platforming anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers, and that on its own says all it needs to say about that. Like, it's
bring your own chair, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, bro? And
right, and also in
yeah.
saying that it is safe for families.
It's not.
And the product is them just like basically saying Adam Page is a gay. Like, that is not acceptable.
And we've also seen this happen with like gaming, you know what I mean? Like these guys who have, you know, this indoctrination of these cults. Like, this isn't like where, you know, Kat Chinetti is not some, you know, she's not being Chicken Little here. The sky has fallen before.
Yeah.
So in this sense, like, all this shit that's being said right here on this podcast that has been painstakingly researched, and we thank you for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we also know that this is a very, a sore subject. Should be a sore subject for all of us, but like, people like go through shit. You know, we're very grateful for you to, you know, go ahead and do the work that you've done and come on this episode, and we'll have more laughs at some point. I would like to.
Yeah,
but, like,
obviously.
this is,
yeah, I mean,
you know, this is
serious. Like, pro wrestling's supposed to be fun.
This is a tough one.
And this, none of this is fun. None of this is cool.
This isn't fun.
This is like everything that we stand against. Like, Rasslecast is like the opposite side of the spectrum of all this bullshit.
I feel like I should just like tap a racial epithet, but it seems like really.
Yeah.
I think like in
There we go.
Girl, were you gonna say something?
Go ahead.
You were gone.
Oh yeah, it's just a couple of things that obviously there's nothing funny about what's going on with Control Your Narrative. It's like
I was laughing earlier, but it got real serious.
We laugh about their very bizarre rules and regulations,
Right.
and we just laugh about this whole.
There is stuff
this
that
whole
is
doctrine.
laughable, but not funny. I would say.
We should take this shit very seriously.
It's laughable, but it's also disturbing.
Super disturbing.
Like a couple of things that like I'm kind of low key taking comfort in is so the show that they're doing WrestleMania weekend, they're actually running the same day as Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, i.e. the show that this show wishes it were.
Yeah.
Right. But an actual legit tough guy contest that's not up its own ass. That and also like one of the guys wrestling on that show, the CYN's doing WrestleMania weekend, is Killer Cross.
Oh God.
Yeah, Killer Cross is also. I almost said All Elite. I don't fucking want him for AEW after this.
I mean, I don't think he's not gonna be able to. If he had any shot before, he doesn't now.
No. He's doing that show, and then the very next day, he's actually wrestling for New Japan. Like he actually signed on with a respectable wrestling promotion, and the day after he wrestles for CYN, he's doing a match with Minoru Suzuki, and I'm just like, please, murder Grandpa, smack some fucking sense into this guy.
But here's the thing, right? And like, I'm not gonna name names because I feel very like protective of some of these people. But like, there are a lot of like Ring of Honor folks that did not get a security net to swing to in the way that like Danhausen did, who have taken these shows but do not promote them on their social media or anything. Just to pay rent,
right,
or keep lights on.
Again, to have a place to work, and that's really really the beginning and the end of what they're talking about. They're not really thinking through everything that we're talking about, because their priority, first, second, third, fourth, fifth priority is being able to pay rent, being able to have a living, and this place is a place to work.
And I do just want to say, like, to those people, like, I'm not mad at you. I hope you get a better chance. Because the people who are actively perpetuating this, whether it's on their personal social media, whether it's investing in this company, whatever it is,
they can rest in the most piss.
Yeah, but like to steal a phrase from your own lexicon, fuck your feelings. You don't deserve them. And like I hope that I can't say that I hope this for Vince McMahon because I don't believe it, but I hope that Tony Khan is keeping track and paying attention. Because I think that there are a lot of people who don't deserve their Ring of Honor contracts back for when they start booking Ring of Honor again. And I think that there are a lot of people who deserve their Ring of Honor contracts back to get them out of this.
Yeah,
because
working somewhere that's safe again.
An intervention from a close friend is more likely to be successful than an intervention from a stranger. So I think that is what I hope for this whole thing.
And like I'm seeing a lot of people wondering, okay, Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor. Like, what does that mean? This is it's right here that Tony Khan is going to relaunch Ring of Honor. This is why it's important. So among other reasons, to not have to work for these people.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So like I think that the best thing honestly that we can do for Control Your Narrative to deal with this is after this pay them no attention. Because
they won't be mentioned on here anymore. I can tell you.
You can laugh at it, I guess, in the privacy of your own home. I'm gonna keep track of what's going on because it's an industry thing at this point. I keep track of what scumbags are making movies.
Yeah.
But don't talk about them on social media. Don't tweet about them. Their clout needs to come to a stop. Because there is nothing that people like this hate more than feeling irrelevant. Why do you think Donald Trump keeps sending out these missives from the top of his fucking tower in Florida? Because he's afraid he's losing his foothold. He's afraid he doesn't have any friends anymore. And like friends, I mean like internet friends.
Right.
And like this is the same formula. These are people desperately gripping to relevance. Don't give it to them.
So you just mentioned Tony Khan, his father Shad Khan. So I just saw this news a little while ago. He owned some black news channel in California, LA, and he closed it down. Closing down businesses, that happens every day, right? But apparently he's not paying these people their last paychecks. So in wrestling, morals do not pay. So we're hoping that they do the right thing, but in actuality, they really
I will just say that I try not to judge people based on the actions of their parents, but you're not wrong. I think there's a degree of caution that definitely should be shown here. And I do think that like Vince McMahon is a beautiful example of why ethics don't matter. Because he has more money than God and he didn't get there honestly.
Yeah, he didn't get there honestly or being nice.
So,
Go work in the store. All right, guys. So I'm bummed out. I don't want to send the marks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for all of that, Kat and Grog. Yeah, because that needed to be brought to everybody's attention. Like, because we ain't here for that shit, man. Like, we do this pod because we love professional wrestling and we love talking about.
And this is not that.
No, this is
clearly not
dangerous fighting with bad narratives.
Even if it was a bunch of fucking assholes just beating the shit out of each other and leaving it at that, that would be fine. Like that, we could turn our backs on. But like, the thing with like a festering cancer like this is like you do have to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on it. Like I said, this is, if you gotta get a blicky, man, go ahead and do your thing, though. Like, go ahead, man.
Grog, what were you going to say?
And look, AEW hardcores and WWE hardcores, I personally don't consider myself. I'm a fan. I'm not a hardcore, but like this is something that they should be able to see eye to eye on. Like, this is a cancer within the industry.
Well.
Yeah, and I have seen a lot of solidarity.
A cancer that something can be done about.
Yeah. But fans on both sides, a lot of solidarity with them going, yeah, this is fucking
my
dumb.
pillow.
Yeah.
Woof. All right, man.
Bye.